Hi, welcome back to Post TV live from NAB. Mark Loftus, Senior Editor, Randy Altman, Editor-in-Chief. We're here with CharlesAmyot from Matrox, and he's got some cool stuff to talk about. Want to start off with the MC100 mini converter?
Definitely. The MC100 is this little mini converter right here. It's actually a dual SDI to HDMI mini converter. So for 3G, HD, SD, SDI, and also dual link SDI. So we deal with the whole spectrum of SDI signal, and we convert it to HDMI. But it does a lot more. As you can see, there's 2 SDI inputs, but there's 2 SDI outputs and 1 HDMI output. So what you can do as well is you can input a single SDI in, and duplicate the signal and then extend it. So it's also a distribution amplifier. It's also a switcher. It's a true broadcast switcher in the sense that it switches on the switching line, just like the SMPTE spec tells us to do. So it's a glitch-free switch. It's a clean switch. Your downstream devices will just keep processing, recording the signal without any loss. So you don't miss a frame, you don't skip a field. So that's really, really neat. It's also a lossless signal switcher, believe it or not. So if you have 2 inputs and your primary input goes dead for any reason, the box will automatically detect that and switch cleanly again without a glitch. So your downstream devices will keep recording and processing the signal again. It's also a multiplexer and a demultiplexer. So we can input 2 independent HD SDI signal, which are 1.5 gigabyte each, and on the other end, you can output it on 1 3G spigot. So both signals on 1 spigot. And then on the other end, you need another one of these boxes, which inputs both the single link, and then desplits or gets both signals independent again. When you do this, because it's 2 1.5 gigabyte signal being mixed on 1 3G spigot, so 1 3 gigabyte spigot, you don't lose any data. So you keep your full metadata, full 16 channel of audio, full closed captioning. So that's a really, really neat way to minimize the amount of wiring in a facility. And finally, it's a full-fledged 3D processor. That's really, really great. So you can input 2 cameras, left eye, right eye, and you can output it on SDI, side-by-side and over-under, or on HDMI, side-by-side, over-under, and frame packing, which is a brand new way to preview 3D on HDMI 1.4a. So it's a full frame instead of being half the resolution, which gives you side-by-side and over-under gives you. It's also a... You can also adjust the conversions directly on the unit with 2 hardware buttons. Well, there's 3 hardware buttons right here on the unit. So plus, minus, and a toggle. So with the plus minus, you can actually converge your images or diverge your images, and you can also vertically align them, and you can flip and flop the images if you're using a mirror rig. So and to see if you're properly converged, we have analysis modes. So they include anaglyph, which is the red and blue glasses from the 80s, 50-50, which is both frames at half opacity, and the difference, which is frame number 1 minus frame number 2. Those 3 modes let you see the disparity between your shots. So for a stereographer, it's great because they can tell right away if they're properly converged. So, and then if they're not, they can use our convergence control to actually adjust convergence directly on the units. This is in a nutshell this product. It does a lot for $495.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do you have over there?
Yeah, I've got more stuff. I've got our MX02. This is the MX02 LE. It's an I/O device, so input-output. We deal with SDI, component composite, S-video, XLR audio, and analog audio, of course, HDMI. There's a reference in, and on output, there's the same ports, but instead of having a reference out, we have 2 SDI outputs. One, let's say, for your recording device, a DEC. The other one would be for a professional monitoring, so an SDI monitor. So, and what's really neat with the LE version is you have 12-volt power right here, N-ton power. So you can bring this to the field and use it. It's really, really good. Yeah. It's really great.
I'm a little familiar with the MX02 back to when Avid had made some new releases. I guess their 5-point-something release.
Yes.
That it was kind of dependent on it. How has it come along since then?
Well, it moved quite a lot, actually. Back then, only the Mini, the MX02 Mini, was the only one that could be used with Media Composer. Now with Media Composer 6, our whole lineup of I/O devices can be used. So the MX02 Mini, the LE, the regular MX02, and the MX02 rack. We also have a card called the Mojito Max. And all these I/O devices can come with our Max technology. It's a proprietary chip that's inside the board here that takes care of your H.264 encoding. So on the PC, we're faster in real time, and on the Mac, we're 5 times faster than software. So it's a great add-on, and it's an added value that we're the only one to bring in the market.
Very nice.
Exactly.
And you have something else with
Yes,
you?
we have a brand new, I'm
Just keeps coming.
Yeah, a lot of gifts here today. We have our brand new multi-viewer. It's called the Matrox Micro Quad.
Cool.
So it deals with a 3G, HD, and SDI. So you get 4 inputs, so these 4 spigots here, and you output it on HDMI. So it gives you a quadrant view. So 4 quadrant, and with Matrox 10-bit scaling, the interlacing, we take, let's say, up to 1080p 60, and we can downscale it to 4 quadrants, so very high quality video. And you can go from this quadrant mode to full screen, and you can toggle from one view to the other. There's also a tally box which lets you select which audio you want to listen to. So let's say if you have 4 different channels, you can move the tally box with the same hardware buttons here, with the same 3 hardware buttons. So you can move the tally box to go from one channel to the other or listen to the audio. And let's say you're in an environment such as a concert where the audio would come from one of 4 cameras or a board which is then muxed to the camera for audio. Well, you can log the audio to the primary input as well. What's really, really neat with this little device is that your sources do not need to be gen-locked. So it's a time-based corrector and frame synchronizer, and an audio resampler as well. So your sources can just be free running. We input them here, and on your HDMI monitor, we make sure that everything is in sync, so there's no video tearing, no artifact. It's a great little product.
And if you're in the field and only have limited monitoring, one monitor, you could use that for multiple sources. I guess that would be a benefit.
That's exactly the idea of the product. And right now, we introduced it yesterday here at NAB2012, and it's going to be available July for $995.
Wow.
Actually, we just we got the 1 minute sign a minute ago. So we're going to thank you very much, Charles.
You're more than welcome.
This was great, and
thank you for having me.
Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with Morgan Spurlock, filmmaker.